Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Michael Hirsch, the Medical Director for the Division of Public Health and the Chief Pandemic Officer for the City of Worcester, coming to you with another edition of Stay Connected, which we do every month with the Senior Center. And it feels very different, right? April of 2022 feels very, very different than where we've been. It's been just a little over 2 years since the pandemic started, and things are starting to open up. Open up is a kind of a metaphor for spring, right? Spring, all the blossoms start to open, everything starts to get green. That's kind of how it feels here in Worcester right now. I hope it's a long-lasting feeling of that, but we have to take advantage of it while we can. We were able, with the help of the Board of Health last month, to rescind the mask mandate. Many of the city workers are no longer going to be facing a vaccine mandate as of May. A lot of the places that you frequent or used to are going to be not restricting you in terms of social distancing and wearing masks. Let me say a few things about that. I'm really happy we're here, but in the elderly population, and I am assuming if you're watching this broadcast, you're part of our family at the Worcester Senior Center, you still have some good justification to continue wearing your mask. The city manager made it very, very clear in his announcement about this that he wanted Worcester to be a mask-friendly city. So people over the age of 75, people that have immune-compromised disease, people that have cancer, lung problems, heart conditions, diabetes, obesity, at least think about when you're going into an indoor venue where you can't do your social distancing and you don't know that everybody around you is vaccinated or has native immunity from having had a recent COVID infection. Nothing wrong with wearing the mask, and no one should be calling you out for wearing a mask. You're not being a coward, you're not being a sissy. There's nothing about this that's cowardly. It's good common public health. So we wanted to rescind the masks for the people that were healthy, the people who were vaccinated, the people who had done all the right mitigations and have been wearing them all along. And hopefully you're going to see a mix of people in Worcester. Some still wearing their masks because they're not comfortable yet, and some that are very happy to just get rid of them. But I would not suggest burning your mask or saying goodbye to them forever, because COVID is unpredictable. COVID has rebounded before. We were here last summer in 2021 declaring the 4th of July was our independence from COVID, and COVID hit us with not one but 2 surges after that. So it's a very, very critical thing to keep listening to the news and the reports coming out of the Department of Public Health. We're not doing as many press conferences anymore. We're using kind of the Worcester website to give out a weekly briefing on Fridays, and that may become less frequent even if the numbers stay low. We are not sleeping on this, I can guarantee you. Our job at the Department of Public Health is to keep tracking these numbers very carefully. Now, as I'm sitting here, there are some numbers going up in the UK and in Europe with the newest iteration of Omicron, which is called the BA2 variant of Omicron. It is not as transmissible as Omicron was, and it is not causing as much illness as Omicron was. And most importantly, and I'm hoping this applies to you in the Senior Center, if you're vaccinated and have a booster, you're not going to end up in the hospital. About 95% of the time, you will have at the most cold symptoms. And with all the allergies that come with spring, it's hard to kind of figure out sometimes, am I having a cold or am I having COVID? So that's why we're still trying to make testing widely available. Worcester is one of 11 cities in the Commonwealth that is still in the Stop the Spread program. There is going to continue to be testing going on at the Mercantile Center. And of course, these home test kits have been made available by the federal government. If you go on the cdc.gov website, there'll be a link for you to get 4 tests mailed to you. You can actually get 8 tests mailed to you if there are 2 people in your house. And I would definitely encourage you, if you wake up one day with a little scratchy throat and you've not had that before, or some cold thing, and you were about to go visit your unvaccinated friends or your grandkids or your daughter and son who don't have all their boosters yet, et cetera, it's not a bad thing to try to test yourself first, because that way you can be sure you're not going to end up being a spreader. And if you get a positive test, if you've had the 2 original shots of Moderna or Pfizer or the Johnson & Johnson, and you've gotten a booster, you're probably not going to end up getting much more sick than what you feel that morning that you first had that scratchy throat. So we can't say goodbye to COVID yet. And I think that what we're going to find over the course of the year is, as the cold weather comes back, it's kind of going away now, fortunately. As it comes back, it may make another appearance. And by then, hopefully, we will have come up with a system of booster shots. These booster shots that they're planning for the fall will include a version that will be not only just COVID, but also the flu shot. So we'll have a combination that we can give you maybe come October that will hopefully keep you through next winter from getting another case of COVID, or your first case of COVID if you've been able to avoid it. So this has been a really interesting time of reflection in the city government and the Department of Public Health, and I think probably in your homes as well. We've come through this with something in the range of 55,000 people in our city. About 1 out of 4 have gotten COVID, and unfortunately, close to 550 people have died. That's too many. I think in our review of what went right and what went wrong in the Department of Public Health, that's what we're going to be drilling down on. What could we have done better? What could have been done better that was in our control, and what could have been done better that was not in our control? I think a lot of us are feeling that in that first 4 months of COVID, there was so much politicization of the whole disease. It was from China, it was going to go away. You could use very strange remedies like light and acid and different crazy medications for animals, and it would help to make it go away. All of that was total misinformation, and we should have been not just building up the stockpiles of the vaccine, but also masks. And we were caught with our pants down initially without enough PPE, without enough ventilators. I think that first wave of COVID back in 2020, it went through our nursing homes, our old soldiers' homes, our skilled nursing facilities, like lightning, and it did some devastating work on the elderly. So that's what we're doing now. We're doing what is called in emergency medicine a hot wash. Hot wash means everybody gathers around that had something to do with the delivery of care or with the policy-making decisions on COVID, and we sit around and we say what went right and what went wrong. And I enjoy these hot washes because I kind of use them in my personal life too. Anything that I do, if it has an outcome somewhat different than I expected, I try to sit down in my head and go through a hot wash and say, why didn't painting that fence work the way I thought it was going to work? In life, I'm sure you make some kind of equation like that too if something doesn't work out. So as we get into the warmer weather, it's a time to be outside, enjoy the beautiful spring. Spring puts pep in everybody's step. That's an old expression. And I really feel like this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of the renaissance that we had going on in Worcester that kind of stopped in March of 2020 and now is picked up again. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've got a baseball team in town. We've got a beautiful stadium in town, magnificent stadium. And we've got so many great new places to visit and you know, the restaurants and the retail, whether it's up and down Main Street or Shrewsbury Street or in the Canal District, it's really amazing. And on certain nights, I bet you're going to see people walking around in neighborhoods that we didn't see anybody after 6 o'clock, you know, 3 years ago. And certainly through the pandemic when things were so shut down. Now we're going to have like our own little, you know, esplanade going on with everybody out there. And that's how it should be. There's nothing like sunlight. There's nothing like getting some fresh air. And if you decide to wear your mask, that's fine. But I would say outdoors, you don't need to. But the restaurants are there waiting for you. The retail places are waiting for you. The Worcester Public Market is awesome. It provides so many interesting nooks and crannies for you to explore. And it's a great time to be a member of the community. Honestly, I think that we are very, very fortunate with all of the entertainment venues, whether it's the Palladium, the DCU Center, the Railers, the Woosocks, the Arena Football, Massachusetts Pirates, the great concert venues at Mechanics Hall or Hanover Theater, and the smaller clubs that are around. There's something for everybody. And that's what I'm hoping people will kind of come together and enjoy. And I think once we're out there together and once we're enjoying it together, some of the rancor, some of the opposition that we felt towards one camp or the other, pro-mask, anti-mask, pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, maybe that will go away. And of course, in the background right now, everyone is very sobered by the fact that as much as we can complain about what's been going on here, it's nothing compared to what's been going on in Europe. The Ukraine is weighing on everybody's mind, whether you actually have relatives or a connection to the Ukraine or to Russia. This conflict is absolutely horrific. And it's causing a tremendous loss of life, tremendous stresses on a very fragile infrastructure, not enough food, not enough water, not enough medical care available. And because the attacks on apartment buildings are going on, there's not enough places to stay. So there's, you know, something in the range of 4 million refugees that are being displaced out of the Ukraine. And there are refugees coming out of Russia who don't want to live under that totalitarian government anymore. That is a threat to public health. And we have to be very, very concerned that those countries in that area, whether it's the Ukraine or Slovenia or Hungary or Poland, they had only a vaccination rate of about 50%. You crowd a lot of people in a displaced persons camp or in a crowded bomb shelter or in a subway station to get away from bombing. It's a super spreader event waiting to happen. And that's how the variants will start up again. So we have to be vigilant. We have a very, very tenuous grasp right now on wellness. It would be nice if we could say smooth sailing from here on out, but seems like in human nature we always are making problems for ourselves. I've spoken to you before in other podcasts about my mother. I lost my mother in November. She was 96, and she had been through the Holocaust. She had been in a camp for 7 years in Holland. April was an important month for her because on April 12th, 1945, she was liberated from the concentration camp that she was in. And then she joined the Canadian Army as a nurse. She had been trained while she was in the camp to be a nurse. And she went around for a year liberating other camps. And I know if she had lived to see what was going on in the Ukraine right now, she would be horrified that history could repeat itself like this. And it's humbling. It's humbling for me as I'm kind of just getting around to cleaning out her apartment that she lived in New Jersey when I come upon this box of photos from the war days, how similar things look. Her pictures are black and white. The pictures that we get on CNN are in brilliant color, but the faces are the same. They're sad, they're distressed, they're freaked out, and it kind of, in my mind anyway, makes our problems, to quote Casablanca, a movie that has just celebrated its 80th birthday, the troubles of two little people are just like a hill of beans in this crazy world. That's kind of how I feel. Like, what am I complaining about? If I'm not happy with the way people responded to mask mandate rescission, that's nothing compared to what is going on right now in Kyiv. So we have to count our blessings. We have to hold fast to the notion that our country is extremely resilient. We have an inner strength here, and we also have a basic sense of human decency. And we will come together again. I know elections may get really nasty, and the politics and the propaganda coming from the different parties will make you nuts by November. But remember, in the end, we have the right to vote. We have the ability to cast our lot with our future in mind. It's a great country. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this country. Those Canadians that liberated my mom's concentration camp saved my mother and father, and those Canadians were armed by the United States. The tanks that rolled into that camp were all Sherman tanks made in the Ford Motor Company. So I have a lot of respect and a lot of gratitude for everything the U.S. has done for me, and I have a lot of gratitude and respect for everything that Worcester has done for me. I've been able to have these sessions with you, to have over 150 press conferences with the city manager and the mayor at my side, with them allowing me to kind of give my take on a lot of the medical information that was coming. We had a think tank here in Worcester that was, second to none, with the late Dr. Finberg, who was one of the world's experts on vaccination, Dr. George Abraham at St. Vincent's Hospital, and Dr. Richard Ellison and Dr. Jeremy Luban, all infectious disease specialists who helped me so much to kind of guide the information I was going to tell you and tell the city when we got up to the mic there. And having been honored as a co-grand marshal of the St. Patrick's Day parade last month was just an amazing reward for me. I don't think I'm worthy of that kind of praise, but the love I felt that day strolling down the middle of Park Avenue with the city manager, I will never forget that. And that's the kind of city that we are. We are a city that understands its basic goodness and rewards people who try to help. And I think we're very, very fortunate where we're at right now. So I'm going to, I guess, quit here just by saying that I hope that these kind of get-togethers continue. Maybe, who knows, Amy Waters and Suki Lapin, who have allowed me to come into your screens like this, will want me to do something in person there. I don't know how many more of these sessions they want to do, but if you're up for it, I'm up for it. I love talking to you all. I think that the seniors are the backbone of our society, and you have been incredibly compliant and great advocates for good public health all through these last 2 years. And for that, I thank you sincerely. So please enjoy this spring. You know about April showers, but we'll have plenty of flowers in May when I see you the next time. And be well, be safe, and keep listening in to what the www.worcesterma.gov website tells you about COVID forecasting, because we may have to take some backward steps. No shame in that. We're just trying to take advantage of whatever break nature is giving us. Nature may take it all back, and we will be back in masks, and who knows where we'll end up by the end of 2022. But I think that we're going to put COVID in the rearview mirror, and it'll be out there with little bumps in the road, little outbreaks, little blips that we will be able to handle. And we can handle it because of how great you were as a group, Worcester seniors, to helping not only taking care of yourselves, but advocating for the health of your loved ones. So thank you very much. This is Mike Hirsch signing off for our April broadcast, and come back and see us in May.